Hey, what's the deal with this Caleb Downs fella anyway? Let's talk about it here in Below the Belt, which is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, as well as Window Nation. Chop, you've been, that's kind of become your dream target at this point, right? Would be Caleb Downs?
Yeah, I like Caleb. I don't like the idea. I don't love the idea, I should say, of necessarily in a vacuum taking a safety at 12. But I do think...
But a difference maker.
When you get an elite safety, and we don't know if he's going to be elite. We have no idea.
Do we?
But the numbers do show that if you have an elite safety is like a tight end. You have an elite tight end, like a game-changing Travis Kelce tight end, completely transforms your offense. Other than that, just get a league average one. I think the same thing at safety. If you have an elite safety, completely transforms your defense.
Yeah, and he is... I think when you look over the past, 30, 35 years, when the Cowboys have had a good defense, they've had a good safety, or they've gotten good play from a safety. So, like, for instance, some people may go like, well, they had a good defense when Ron Kearse was here. Yeah, and Ron Kearse played really well when he was here. Like, they were getting decent production out of Hooker, Kearse, and Wilson as like a trio of safeties playing together. When the safety play dips, I feel like the defense is usually not very good. I feel like you cannot have a good defense typically with bad safety play. It's just not possible.
Tough.
You can get away with sometimes your linebackers aren't great. Maybe you don't get a lot of pass rush from your defensive tackles, whatever else. If your safeties are not on their game, your defense is usually bad. And we had that article from Ted Wynn over The Athletic a couple weeks ago talking about that is the new premium position. That if you look at these defenses that play really, really well, you've got these safeties that can function as nickels and extra box defenders. And basically what Nate Newton had talked about, they recently pardoned Nate Newton, by the way. We saw on Twitter this morning.
Did you see that, Peyton?
Trump pardoned Nate Newton.
Why?
I don't know. It's part of just, I think... He pardoned 5 different former NFL players, and he was pardoned for his conviction from like 25 years ago.
Good for him.
Which he served his time.
Yeah,
he served his time, got out, changed his life around. He's an awesome dude, but Trump took it off his record. I guess it's part of an outreach, I think, about marijuana laws specifically.
So he granted pardons to, oh, God. Holy cow, we are all over this list, man.
Yeah, because Billy Cannon's on there, too.
Yeah, Billy Cannon, LSU, right?
Wasn't he OU?
Ole Miss.
No, wasn't Billy Cannon OU, was he? No, you're right, LSU.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a Beano Cook special right there. Billy Cannon, this is the best LSU terms with Billy Cannon and the 1962 Tri-State Bandits. Joe Klecko. Mm-hmm. Jamal Lewis, go Vols. And Travis Henry, go Vols. We're
you just loaded up
40%
on it.
40% of the pardons, Tennessee Vols, baby.
So, but Nate talked about Darren Woodson, where he said, we've referenced the quote before, like, we didn't have sub packages, we had Darren. Like, Darren would change our defense. He would change what our defense looked like because he would just function as whatever the sub would be. And that's what Caleb Downs can do. And that's what a really good safety in today's NFL can do. And did you work with a guy at one point? I don't know if you would have. It says he used to work at BetMGM. Anand Nanduri. Do you know who that is?
I do not.
He tweeted yesterday, Caleb Downs is breaking my brain. He's so good a football player that I can't figure out how to value him on a draft board. I know he's a safety. I know that contract values for draft position, etc. matter. He's the exception. I've watched every snap he played for Ohio State countless times, and I just don't know how a dude is capable of doing the things he does. And then Albert Breer quote tweeted that and said, I feel comfortable saying Caleb Downs is the best football player in the 2026 draft class. He won't be the first pick. You have to consider upside, positional value, all that. And there are guys with more of all that stuff, but no one in the class is a better football player. And then Dane Brugler, the draft guru, quoted that. And here's the money quote right here, Chop. Fun question I've been asking to scouts. Caleb Downs is the best safety prospect you've personally scouted since ... And a few have said ever. Now, you got to remember, some scouts maybe have worked in the NFL for 10 years. And it could just mean it's the best scout and it could be the best safety in 10 years. But it's you've personally scouted, he's the best since when. And there have been some scouts who have told Dane Brugler the best one I've ever seen.
Whoa.
And he is tremendous. So you guys have heard.
To be fair, Did people say that about Trevor Lawrence, best quarterback they've ever scouted?
There were a lot of people who talked about him as being really, really good. I still think that most people said Luck was above him. I feel like
I know
Lawrence was the popular fan, best I've ever seen. Personnel departments talked about Luck that way.
I know they said Luck was as good as the best they've seen since Elway, which means he would have been more highly thought of than Aikman or Peyton coming out.
So Downs is Joel Klatt. We played we referenced the quote he had the other day where he said he's the smartest defender he's ever seen in college football. And when you think of how, for lack of a better term, how dumb this defense played at times last year, and then you're talking about inserting a extremely high IQ center fielder and somebody who can be an extremely high IQ line of scrimmage player. The stuff with him is, you know how typically you watch a safety and you go, oh, okay, well, they're this rangy safety, but they're not really great in run support because of the size limitations. Or, oh, they can make plays at the line of scrimmage, but, man, Kyle Hamilton, you run like a 4.6. I don't know about that. And then he comes to the NFL and he plays fine.
That's about brain.
That is not Downs. Downs is not going to be I don't anticipate Downs is going to run 4.3. He's not going to have that kind of ridiculous speed.
Yeah, because he'd be a corner.
But he's so ridiculously quick at processing what he's seen. He is so consistently right at diagnosing what he's seen. And his game speed, his game athleticism, which is athleticism on the field to play with shoulder pads on and everything else, is different than your time speed. Tony Pollard ran a 4.52 or something at the combine. When you watched him on the football field, you saw he was faster than that. Like in real game situations, he had juice. Downs plays faster than I imagine he's going to than what he'll time at. But you're talking about a dude who sees everything 2 steps ahead of the rest of the people on the football field. Oftentimes will run the route better than the receiver does. Knows the route better than the receiver does. Was the maestro of everything that really, really good Ohio State defense did. I mean, Saban could not talk. He started at Alabama. When he first got to Alabama, Saban, when he was a freshman, could not stop just drooling over him after they had signed him, in press conferences. And that's not like Saban to do. But you're talking about, in terms of size, the ability to play in run support, the ability to play inside at the nickel, the ability to be a deep center fielder, somebody who can get everybody else lined up, be somebody who is absolutely a disruptive force with things that teams want to do at the line of scrimmage. I don't know that Albert Breer's wrong when he says he's the best overall player in the draft. I think from a skill set
Albert
perspective,
is an Ohio State guy.
I think from a skill set perspective, he is probably the best. He's
more than Reese.
Yes. Reese is really good.
Yeah.
Reese is really, really good. I love Arvell Reese, but I think there's a strong argument to be made that Caleb Downs is top player. And they had a Lance Zierlein over at NFL.com he always writes reports and he talks to various people around the NFL about stuff. And he had gotten this quote from an anonymous NFC scouting director. He said, Downs plays a lot like Budda Baker when he was coming out of Washington. Similar mentality and playing style. I think that's a great comp. And Budda Baker's a really good player.
Will he get chased down by DK on an interception return?
So, well, I mean, I did, like I said, he's not going to run 4.3, and DK would. So there's that aspect of it. But no, the thing about it is that he plays like Budda, and he's got some of those same traits and some of that same skill set, but he's bigger. He doesn't have Budda's size limitations. So Budda slid the way he did because he was just smaller. He was a smaller guy. Downs is 6 feet, 6'1", 210, 215. Budda was 5'10", graciously, and weighed closer to 190. And so you're talking about somebody who's got legitimate size to play at this level, somebody who's got legitimate reactionary athleticism and the ability to see things quickly enough. If he walked into this defense tomorrow and you make no other changes, you just put Caleb Downs on this defense and you run back the rest of the defense, I think they are probably just off that alone 4 to 5 points per game better on defense.
With the one player?
With just Downs. because he's not one player. He would do so many different things for them. And the ability at such a young age to process really difficult concepts and to get other people into position the way he does. It's like Leighton Vander Esch. We played those clips from Leighton Vander Esch in October where he said, you just get one guy who, even if he needs to tell people, go over there, do this, if you just have somebody there who knows it, Downs knows it. And what Christian Parker wants is these really high IQ mental processors in the secondary. That's what he wants. And Caleb Downs fits that. He's just got to get to 12. If he gets to 12, I think they're picking him. Wow. And I don't think it's a very difficult selection for them. I just don't know, because there's so many teams, I think, that right now are valuing the safety and what they're able to do as a hybrid nickel, that I think a lot of teams are going to look at Downs and just say that could change the complexion of our entire defense.
4 to 5 points would be unprecedented.
I think you're not having half the busts you did if Downs is back there, and then he's just a better player.
I think that would be the most impactful safety the league's ever seen.
He's Earl Thomas-like.
We've never seen a single player in Vegas go for 4 points that isn't a quarterback.
Now here's the only thing. Well, that's betting line stuff. Yeah. I'm literally talking about how bad that defense was last year. He stops a lot of the secondary bleeding naturally.
But if he's worth 4 points a game, that's, I think, one win equals 33 points. That's how they do it on a points per. So if he's worth 4 points per game, that's 2.5 wins a year.
How many busts did they have in the secondary every game? It felt like 3. Some of them were touchdowns. Some of them were just big gains. Regardless, a bunch of those busts don't happen with Caleb Downs back there and on the defense, and you're not giving up points on those drives. That's
2.5 wins almost a year if he's worth 5 points.
And this is an era where that hybrid nickel safety, that position has become, it's starting to build a reputation within league circles of being just like how you need a great edge rusher.
B-Lo.
B-Bell.